I pushed the button.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Just Be a Man podcast. I am your host, Mike T. And tonight we're going to have a few conversations in regards to some of the current events that's going on. But before we do that, I would like to introduce the crew. I have my buddy Charles.
What's going
my
on,
buddy
people?
Stefan.
Yo,
My
what's
buddy
up?
Wayne. We do have my buddy Chuck hopefully coming later on. And in the meantime, we'll chop it up a little bit about what's current events, what's going on with a little bit of Sha'Carri Richardson, Felicia Rashad, and then segue into our topic. But before we do that, we're going to have a message from our sponsor, Charlie Rock.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Summer is here, as you know. Are you ready to unveil your beach body is the question. You're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation package that includes the Lawnmower 4.0. That's right, the 4.0. Complement your dad body or 6-pack with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. Now, the sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their grooming needs by going to manscaped.com, inputting the code JBAMSCAPE. Now, if you do that, you're going to get 20% off plus shipping. And it's time to bundle up, guys. You know, with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, inside this package, you're going to find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. You're going to find the Weed Whacker, which is a ear and nose hair trimmer.
My camera.
You have the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, a Crop Reviver toner. So Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts with this package, guys. It's their Performance Package 4.0. And also you get a pair of high performance boxers and and you get this Shed travel bag. Now bring your grooming and boxers to another level. Remember, get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com, inputting the code JBAMSCAPE. That's 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com and inputting the code JBAMSCAPE. Again, escape the shrubs and the weeds this summer, guys, and shine with Manscaped. Back to you, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Charles. That was ball-tastic. But anyway, we're going to segue into tonight's topic. Thank you. Welcome everybody out there in IG land, Facebook land, and whoever picked us up, came on in to visit. Tonight's topic is going to be mistakes of our youth. But before we do that, I got a few questions. Well, not even a few questions. I got a definition, and then maybe that we can transition into what we talk about. The definition I'm going to read it's about enhance. The word is enhance, and the definition is to intensify, increase, or further improve a quality or value and extent of, period. Now, we can transition to Miss Sha'Carri Richardson. How much of an enhancement do you gentlemen think weed had an effect on this young lady's performance or her behavior? Let's start off with Charlie Rock.
I would say 0, man. The weed had nothing to do with her performance and how fast she ran. The fact of the matter is, it's just illegal for the sake of that particular sport and the Olympic Games in general. So that's the reason why she was not permitted to run. That's why she's been suspended, is because weed is technically illegal. Not even technically, it is illegal as it relates to the Olympic Games, period, end of story. That's it.
All right, let's see. Let's transition over. Thank you, Charles. Let's go to my man, Steph Lover. Tell me what you think about this whole thing with Sha'Carri Richardson, Steph.
I tell you, I really believe the Olympics need to get with time. But I agree with Charles. It's illegal. She shouldn't have done it. She did it. She manned up. She did not do the denials that we so often see. She didn't drag this out like Lance Armstrong did, or dismiss it like they did with Michael Phelps. She owned it right out the gate, and for that I have to give her much props and credit for it.
Okay, all right, Wayne. What say you, brother, on this topic?
I mean, it's right. everyone's right. What they said so far, rules matter, right? That's why we have them. Whether you agree with them or not, that's what the rule is. Everyone knows that marijuana is not a stimulant; it's a depressant. So that doesn't hype you up; it slows your ass down. So they should be happy she was using, she was slowing down. She fast as hell.
Well, to your point, we said that weed slows you down, but does it enhance her ability to relax or decrease her anxiety due to the fact that her mom died?
Well, I mean, the reason that she used it is, I don't want to say irrelevant, because it's still like it's still what the rules are. Like for example, if she was a data processor and she would have gotten tested at work in her cubicle, she'd have been in just as much trouble. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the outside circumstances are. So I mean, to Steph's point, the rules are, those rules can be updated. The bottom line is, if she was smoking a cigarette, it wouldn't have been a problem. But if you think about it, the way that marijuana is going state by state by state, it's going to be a cigarette soon. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and they're going to have to catch up at some point, but technically you can't be mad at them because that's what the rules are. It's not an enhancement, but it is an illegal drug.
So where does accountability come in? Because you're going to do all that hard work for 4 years. The rules are the rules. It's a worldwide federation, Olympic, whatever the rules they had. She knew what the rules were. And if she didn't, my question was, who was her PR people? Who's her support? Who's her team? When this girl was going,
I'm sorry, but I mean, the topic today is mistakes of our youth, right? And so the best thing for her is that she's 21, 22. Yep. So she can recover. I mean, in 4 years from now, she will not be too old to participate. But what's happened to her is she's lost 4 years of endorsements.
Well, actually, no, Nike didn't drop her.
Yeah. She, Nike is sticking by her, which is good. But to your point, Wayne, what has it really cost her in terms of what is
additional endorsements? Exactly. That's really what I meant. I didn't mean what she has now. But if she goes there and she comes back with every medal there is known to man, they're going to be coming out of the woodwork for her. So for 4 years, Nike's rocking with her, but what else could she have gotten? And so that's a mistake that she's going to have to live with, unfortunately.
Now, let me ask you a question. I know people, we watched it when she was answering questions on today's, whatever the show she was on. She was by herself. How many people I felt kind of awkward that a young lady that young who made this serious mistake. Why do you think that she didn't have a team or anybody sitting with her? I mean, anywhere else on TV, you see people sitting with their lawyer or their mother, father. I mean, she couldn't sit with her mom, but somebody. She was by herself in a room answering questions on her own.
Yeah,
or maybe it did. There with her we couldn't see. I don't know.
Yeah, it did sort of make you wonder where's the support system? Obviously she has an agent because the agent helped her get the Nike deal. So you would think that there would be someone that would be a professional representative that would be there to support her. The other side of it is that you have to admire, just like Stefan pointed out earlier, she didn't hide from this. She stepped up, she was accountable, she admitted her wrong. She didn't say that, I was at a party and other people were smoking it. She didn't say any of that. She took full accountability for her actions. She understands that there are consequences. She even said it herself. She knew it was wrong, but she did it anyway. She was going through some stuff. So I think this is a lesson learned not only for her, but for the youth in general. That's what this show is all about, is that, this is something that people can look to and say, wow, indeed, there are real consequences when, you make certain choices. And that's what she did.
Well, my thing is that I wonder how much accountability the coaching staff has. She's getting suspended or doing whatever, but how much accountability do they hold? Because it's a reflection. I don't care what anybody says. It's a reflection of them. Just like a quarterback of a team, if you lose, you lose. You win, you win. They praise you. If you lose, they want to put you on the bench or whatever. How much of that accountability? And this will be my last question. what kind of accountability you guys think should affect the coaches?
I'll jump in on that. Really, that one is not on the coaches, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is on her, and she's already accepted that. It's she's an adult.
Mhm.
She's not a high school kid or even a college kid. She's a grown adult. Well, matter of fact, she might still be a college kid with LSU.
21.
Yeah, but still, this one's kind of on her. The coaches will give you the briefing and tell you don't drink and drive, don't smoke reefer. We used to do that in the military all the time. Hey, it's a long weekend. Don't drink and drive. Don't be surprised we have a drug test on Monday,
Right.
and be safe. And soldiers will still do it. Then they were held accountable.
Right.
Yeah, I agree
What about you,
100%.
Wayne? Oh, I'm
No,
sorry, Charles. Go ahead. Who said something, Mike?
No, I was just saying I agree 100% with Stefan. I mean, just like when we were young, I mean, we did things that we knew that our parents didn't approve of. We knew that they taught us better, but we decided to make certain choices
Right.
and we did it anyway. So, and there were consequences as a
Uh-huh.
result of that, and we had to live with it. So once
Right.
you reach a certain age, man, even if she was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old, I would still hold the same position that it's
Right.
not on the coach, it's on her. She knew right from wrong and she made a choice. So,
Right.
Wayne.
Okay. I just think that between what she was going through and how important the Olympics were, you're dealing with a lot of emotion, ups and downs, depression, who knows, anxiety, whatever. You think that there was somebody there close and close proximity to her, to mentor her, to support her, and to make sure she was okay. And that didn't seem like it was. Like we're only seeing what's on the front. Who knows? She might be running the show. She might be a whole different person behind the scenes, and she might be running the show totally different. But I just thought I'd put that out there since we're talking about mistakes of our youth, and that I think even though she was accountable, is she accountable for herself? I still think that for her to be a top-notch athlete, first impressions are everything, and the rules are rules. And if they give you a list and say don't do this, and you did it, like you said, it's on you. All right, so let's move right on. We got some other stuff going on in the news. We got Miss Felicia Rashad, who is the dean of the fine arts at Howard University. Now, I guess she sent out a tweet and I don't know if it was more of a friendship tweet saying she was happy in the way she presented it, but it affected a lot of people. When she tweeted out a terrible wrong was righted, and a lot of people got upset saying that she lacked sensitivity and her view personally. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'll start. Well, first of all, I got a lot of things to say about this. So first of all, everybody was in love with Felicia Rashad as Claire Huxtable. I'm just.
I know I was.
Mhm.
So she can't do too many things wrong. So just want to say.
I
But
used to love her blouses. She wore some beautiful blouses, bitch.
Blouses.
but in all seriousness, I support her 100%, and I think Howard was wrong to censor her. Higher education is built on having free speech and opinions and all that other good shit, right? So you don't have to agree with someone. That's why you have disclaimers that say the views and opinions aren't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like let her say her truth, right? So out of all the kind of money, the kind of run that she had with Bill Cosby, that she's showing him love. I mean, come on. That's that. So I think Howard was dead wrong for like.
It was like family. That was his work wife. So she's gonna feel some kind of way.
So I think yeah. So I understand 100% why Howard did it, but I think they shouldn't have. You know what I mean? It was just a slap on the wrist where she had to recant her thing. But I think, coming from being Morgan and knowing that we don't like anything that Howard does, so Howard was dead ass wrong. But but that's my opinion. And again, for as a higher education, you're supposed to speak your truth. Right. You don't have to match somebody else's.
Right. Like anybody says, freedom of speech, right? When it comes to certain things, I guess there's a problem with that. What do you think, Steph? I'm sorry, Wayne. You were saying
no, I'm just saying it's higher education. That's what they do. They protest. They speak their mind. They try to change the world.
You're supposed to challenge the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone has commented on our page, and thank you for the comment. The moral to the story is stay off of social media if you're a celebrity. I kind of disagree with that. like Wayne just mentioned, freedom of speech. She is a close friend of Bill Cosby.
Mhm.
Now, how do I feel about Cosby? Oh, he's guilty as hell. But the prosecutor screwed up, and used his words against him for a conviction, and the Supreme Court threw it out at the Pennsylvania level. And so she was excited that he was out. Maybe her tone was off, and she also didn't respect the fact that there were victims. Regardless, there were always victims. So yes, she kind of got a whooping over that. I think she's learned, and I think she'll move forward. And I think Howard University will be fine regardless.
All right, what say you, Chuck? I mean, Charlie Rock?
Perhaps she was a bit insensitive in her initial comments. But I like the fact that she came back and she spoke about the fact that she fully supports sexual assault victims coming forward, and that she apologized for being insensitive. And I thought her statements were right on. But this whole story, there are people that are still calling for her to be fired.
Of course,
she was just appointed in May of this year. Yeah, and I think that the first thing that comes to mind for me is cancel culture, just running amok. I just think it's ridiculous, man. You can't defend a friend, defend a family member, just like you said. I mean, they worked together on the Cosby Show for 8 years.
Oh yeah.
And obviously the relationship runs a lot deeper.
Oh yeah.
Than just the 8-year relationship that they had on the show. They were personal friends. So you hear it all the time when, Tommy pulled the trigger on somebody and their family members come to their defense.
Right.
She is a family member, a quasi family member of Bill Cosby. So I don't blame her one bit for trying to basically celebrate the fact that he was being released. But at the same time, in her position as Dean of the College of Fine Arts, I think this is a lesson learned for her and other administrators that you live in a different world. And unfortunately,
it's a different world.
It is a different world.
That was a good plug. That was a good plug.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my take on it.
I have to agree. I know Steph disagreed with this person who said social media is a powerful drug. I think it is. And if I was in her position, I think I would have been more beneficial of bringing more light to him just by personally calling him or doing whatever. Because like you said, we're in a different world. And, I think sometimes people tend to forget that some people don't realize that times have changed. And there's people out there that will totally try to destroy your job, what you stand for and everything. That cancel culture is real. And social media is real. So, yeah.
I was just going to say that I may be incorrect about this. This is her. She's been a celebrity for a long time, but this is her first collegiate job. You know what I mean? Like she's not been a dean. She hasn't been an academia forever. So, she hasn't really had to necessarily report to a boss.
Right.
That's true.
So it is a little bit different. It's a learning process. And again, Claire Huxtable can do no wrong.
Did you hear what Shaka Khan said?
What?
Shaka Khan basically
I feel for you.
Well, she came to Rashad's defense. But one of the things that she said was interesting. She was like, well, if you have a problem with what she said and you're trying to get rid of her position, then why don't you give all that money back that Cosby donated to your university?
Oh, no, she did.
Yes, she
Shaka
did.
Shaka Khan. No, she didn't. Shaka Khan. No, she didn't.
How about that? Yeah.
Hey, a little long back history fact. I was today years old when I found out that Camille is actually from the Benning Road, 8th Street, Northeast DC.
Okay.
I didn't realize she's from DC, but yeah, I found that out recently.
Who?
Camille Cosby, Bill Cosby's wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Camille.
My wife, Camille. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sorry. One last thing to what Charles said. It's about money. That's the only reason why Howard even mentioned it. It's that alumni support. It's that other donor money. So they had to speak on it. But I just, I get why. But it's always money.
It's all about damage control. So, they wanted to make sure that her views weren't the reflection of Howard University, which is usually should be down at the bottom of the statement. She should have put that at the bottom of her tweet. These views are not a reflection of Howard University, bitches. I would have put bitches at the end with 2 exclamation points. So if anybody say something, I'm like, the hell with y'all. But anyway, all right, fellas, we're gonna transition or segue to the mistakes of our youth. To be young again, looking back, what we did or what we didn't do. Underestimating the power of our parents' influence and not following through or doing what we want to do. What do you guys think about that? What are some of the mistakes that you had in your youth, that you made in your youth, that you wish you didn't, you haven't done or you should have done? We'll start off with Steph first.
Yeah, I got one that is funny, and we all did it. My grandmother told me there was a tree by our house, big tree, big oak tree. And she told me, boy, don't you be climbing up in that tree. And I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Run around with my cousins. And, and then she had to remind me one more time, don't you be climbing up in that tree. Well, an hour passed and we were quiet because we were all up in the tree. And she came out there. Now, this is a grandmother in the 70s. And she came out the house and told me to get down from the tree and then go to another tree and pick out my switch.
Damn.
And she wore my ass out. So it goes back to consequences and repercussions.
Yes, sir.
Ass whooping.
Because I suffered the consequences because, I didn't listen. And that was a mistake on my youth.
And you avoid that tree like the plague now, don't you? Can't even ride down that street no more.
Now what happened? What you do? Stop every time I pee on the tree?
No. I just have a silent cry.
What about you, Wayne? Mistakes about you. What are some of the mistakes that you wish you did or what you didn't do?
You know what? I mean, mine's not quite as. Mine is not exactly like Steph's. I got a bunch of stuff I could talk about, but one of the things I would think about, we talk about youth, and I want to just say first, it doesn't mean like when we're 10, 15, 20. I think youth could have been last year for me.
A younger days.
Yeah, any day before today is my youth.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna say for me, one of the things being real serious is like relationships, right? I think when I say mistakes from the past or youth or whatever, it's like, I think growing up, I didn't really have a lot of good examples of relationships, of man-woman relationships, and then also helping you kind of determine what you're looking for when you're looking for a woman. So what happens when you don't have examples of things or you don't know things, you test shit and you try to figure shit out, and that's where the mistakes happen. So that's what I would say as a mistake, is just not having really good examples. That when I say good examples, someone that I knew, someone I could touch, not TV, not the Cosby's, but stuff like that. So that's what I would say. And I think that, obviously we always get better. That's the ideal of growing older. You figure some things out, like Steph and his switches. He could have brought a switch down when he's coming down from that tree. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying? So, you don't do that again. Or, so for me, when I'm talking about relationships, it's like that you try to improve every time. You tried. And the biggest thing is work on improving yourself as well.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Charlie Rock, holla if you hear me.
Yeah. Well, going back to my college days, man, it's you sort of look at this two different ways. It's a blessing, but things were not done in decency and in order. And what I'm referring to is the birth of my oldest son. Yeah, you all know that I didn't keep it in my pants, and got my little.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Got my little girlfriend pregnant while I was in college. I was already paying my own way through college.
Yeah.
And which was a major struggle in and of itself. And then you add a child on top of that. And so it was, I made my path forward so much more difficult because I was out of order. I didn't listen to my parents. My father told me all the time, keep it in your pants. My mother told me the
It
same
was already
thing.
in there. That's
Yeah.
a double. That's confusing. It's already in your pants. It's double wrapped with your drawers.
Hey, but
So
you
when
know,
say
got
keep
to
it,
not let that bad boy out.
but you
You
gotta
know,
go through 2 layers just to get it out. So
exactly.
why not just leave it out so you ain't gotta waste time?
You all know that I love my son to death, man. He is
Yeah.
totally irreplaceable. I just wish that things were done in a little bit different fashion, a little, a different order, so to speak. So that would be the one for me. And if I were to coach individuals out there that are, trying to find their own path, don't complicate things. Things are supposed to be done in a certain order. Especially if you're going to college, be focused on that. Enjoy that experience, get your degree. Don't put yourself in a situation where you bring in other little ones into this world while you're attempting to go through that process. Because I was fortunate. I was able to, in spite of it all, move forward, get my degree, and continue on. But we all know of individuals, some of the people, some of the females that we knew and went to college with, got pregnant while we were in school and never returned. And their life was never what it could have been. Not to say that they weren't blessed with children, just like I was blessed. But again, that wasn't the original goal to, have those things done in that particular order. So that's what I would say.
Well, what I would say is Steph talked about a famous event with the switch. I used to hear this every day of my life. A hard head make a soft ass.
Yes, it does.
So
No, not you, Mike. Not you.
So I just want to let y'all know. At one point I thought my ass was made of feathers because it was too soft because I kept getting my ass whooped. So I just want to say that don't underestimate your parents. Listen to what they're saying and do what you need to do. When she say come in at 11, don't come in at 11:45. Don't come in 12 o'clock because the door is gonna be locked. And then you can try to climb in the window of her bedroom and you trip and fall, and then she jump up and beat your ass with a belt. And you can't even get out the room because she's standing in front of the door. But not that happened to me. Anyway, let's move on.
Happened to a good friend of yours.
Happened to a good friend of mine.
Mike, one of the comments was they wish they invested in property in DC before the boom.
What?
Yeah.
It's very funny somebody said that. I'm reading a book about the I think gentleman's name is Peoples. He's a black real estate investor. He was very prominent back in the day, and he made a lot of money. His name is Peoples or People. I think it's Peoples with 2 E's and a BLES. But anyway, I'm reading a book about that, and he made a lot of money investing in downtown east side of DC. And stuff like that. So I'm reading that book right now. He made a lot of money because at one point it wasn't that popular. Then when it came back, he had bought it up. Not only did he buy up a property, he built a little hotel and he bought up a property around it. And then guess what? And 10 years after it all built up, he sold it all. And now he's living the life of luxury. So that person that the person who made the comment, I agree with you. But I mean, that's the way life is. As that song goes, that's life. So, but hopefully you get a better deal next time. So we'll see what happens. In regards to mistake of the youth, how many? I know we talk about listening to our parents, but how did you guys finally start defining who you are? I'll go with you, Wayne. How did you start figuring out who you were?
I mean, I said earlier, with age comes wisdom, right? And at some point you start hearing, like you said, what your mother said to you a million times, and Steph's grandmother and whoever. I was raised by my grandmother mostly, and a lot of stuff didn't register. But now, as you get older and older, you start remembering some of that stuff, and you can realize how real it is. So if you ask the question of when I feel like I kind of came into my own, I think I'm working on myself every day. I think I can do a little bit. I can make some changes and some improvements all the time. But it's what's funny is we're all parents here, and the same bullshit we did as kids, when our kids do it, drives us absolutely nuts. Yes, absolutely. So that's that's karma, I think is what they call it. Right. But it's because you know better. So you're trying to help them avoid these pitfalls, these hurdles, these whatever. But everybody on this panel knows the reason you know the things you know is because you tripped over that hurdle. You fell through that hole, you went through the bullshit. So you can say, man, don't go that way. But in order for these kids to understand it, they got to get a couple bumps and bruises. And then they'll be like,
don't baby him. Don't baby their ass.
Yeah. And so if I could really quick onto what one of the comments was made on the post is that, one of my other mistakes, I think, has been investments. As you guys all know, we finished school and we've always tried, I have a business degree and always been kind of working in business. Charles and I have done a number of entrepreneurial efforts. We've had some investments in real estate, and like some of the things that we did together, they were monumental failures.
Why you gotta put my business in the street?
It was monumental the failures.
Gotta put my business in the street.
No, it's another Charles. It's not this one. But what really did happen, there was a learning process, right? And what I will say about these failures, they were failures. I count them as that, but they were not because of lack of preparation. That's just the truth. It wasn't because we weren't prepared. We didn't know. I mean, we probably got caught with a couple of things, but some of this stuff was bad timing. It was just bad timing. We caught it on the way down instead of the way up.
Yep.
And that's a lesson learned. So fast forward, here we are today in this economy where the real estate is doing what it's doing today. I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I know this shit's about to blow up. I'm just saying, because I've seen it, because we got caught out there last time like that. So, I mean, that I just want to bring it up because we're talking about real estate and stuff like that, but investments is another thing, which, I hate the losses that I took, but I've learned so much from it.
But you learn from it, right? What about you, Charles? When you started during youth, you made your mistakes, but when you start defining who you were?
I think when you get to the point of self-sufficiency, when you're out there having to make a living for yourself, by yourself, especially when you become a parent, you just start hearing the voices of your parents even louder, in your mind, and you start regurgitating some of the things that were spoken to you. Some of it is trial and error, where you look up and it's like, wow, I made that mistake, but what are you learning from it? And I think in that learning process is where the growth comes from. And you realize next thing you know, you're down the road, 3, 4, 5 years later, and you understand that you're a better person as a result of some of the things that you've gone through. So that's what I would say.
Right. Well, we're going to transition over to my man, Steph Lover, the worldly man. Steph, I know you've been across the seas and back 20 times. How did you finally, when did you actually, between all the stuff you went through, when did you start defining who you were? Was it at the end of college? Was it when you were in the military? Like, when did you figure it out? Or are we all still figuring it out?
No, Mike, really, I probably became a man or really learned who I was at the age of 25. And the reason why, I was forced to do it. I didn't have any recourse. And that's because of the military. I was in charge of approximately 120 soldiers. And it kind of forced me to define who I was as a leader. And it kind of bled off into my life. Now, who I am as a man really didn't happen until I met my current and last spouse, because she kind of, it's hard to explain, but she uplifts. I've had others that didn't uplift me at all. And they would tear down quite often. But the majority of the time, she's uplifted me and pushing me to even greater heights. So, a lot of times it's just finding the right person that's going to be on your side, or at least tell you when you're wrong, but at the same time, help you push you forward.
And I can vouch for that, ladies and gentlemen, because I went down there to see my man, Steph Lover, and met his lovely wife. And guess what? She is the real deal. She uplifts, and she's a great host. Even though if you're only there for a short amount of time, to make you enjoy yourself with a bit of history to go along with it.
Mhm.
So I was gonna say shout out to Kiana and Kiana Creations. We love you, girl. Anyway,
Hey, Mike, I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I just need to tell this one story
yeah, go ahead, brother.
about a fatal mistake that I almost made in my youth, you
Mm.
know, just playing around, really.
Tell me more, Charles.
My sister and I were play fighting in the kitchen at home. My mother is in the other room and she was like, hey, you know, y'all keep that stuff down. You better knock that stuff off and all that other stuff, right? Well, I'm in the kitchen with my sister and she is calling me out my name, right?
Uh-oh.
So I'm like, we ain't having that. Now you're gonna take that back. And she refused to take it back, right? So
I said, take that back.
I proceeded to wrap some material that I had access to around her neck, right? Now
What the hell?
again, you know, I was like, take it back, take it back.
Always knew you was
again,
crazy, Charles.
bro,
And
I'm
you
telling
my
you,
roommate. I knew you was crazy.
we were literally play fighting. Okay. Well, I accidentally choked my sister out, bro. She fell,
You accidentally choked out.
bruh, she fell to the floor
So when she
unconscious.
said on the second, you made a mistake.
It was a mistake. I thought I had killed my sister in
You
that
blacked
moment. It scared the living mess out of me. And how many times have you heard about situations, you know, similar to that, where people were playing, you know, trying to, you know, just, I mean, not purposely trying to hurt somebody, but in the end, the person ended up being hurt. You know, something was broken, or God forbid, it ended up being a fatal situation. So that is something, man, it scared the mess out of me. And from that point forward, I never played like that again in life, bro. It scared me that bad.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear
so
you, brother.
that could have been a fatal situation.
No, it could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. Then we wouldn't have known you. We
Yeah,
just saw you on first 48
I'd have been,
reruns.
He'd been on the first 48.
bro.
Uh-huh.
I'd have been
Murder
prisoner
360.
24465.
You would have gone to Boys Village, huh?
Oh my God, yes, man. Yeah,
Wow.
that would not have been a good look.
Nah, we're glad that didn't happen because you know
Mhm.
part of the crew would have been missing.
Yep.
But as far as defining who you are, I think I defined who I was when me and my mother got into an argument over something my brother did, and she said, "Well, if you don't like living here, you can get out." And I said, "I will." I said, "Well, go right ahead then, but give me your key." I said, "Take this key," and I put it on the table nicely because I wasn't throwing shit because I would never made it out the door. So I put the key nicely on the table, and I grabbed my stuff, and I said, "I'm gonna go get my own place." So fast forward, I get my own place, right? Now I put the money down, whatever, and I forgot about the damn utility. So I ain't got no damn light. So I'm in an apartment with no furniture. I'm laying on a sleeping bag with a couple oodles and noodles in the boombox.
With no electricity.
No electricity. Only electricity. I was so desperate. I was trying to move the shade so the light from the street light could come in and give me so I could see where the hell I was. I think I lost something. I couldn't find it. I ain't had no furniture. So at that point, I defined who I was because I was asked out, as people say.
That's who you was, asked out.
I was asked out. So anytime you desperate enough to get lights to give you light inside your apartment because your dumbass didn't go pay utilities because you thought you knew what you was doing and you didn't know. Yeah. So for those of you youth out there that are younger than I am, select your words carefully and make sure you got your plan in place.
Hey man, but when your parents cut those purse strings, man, sometimes that's the best thing for you. That forces you to grow.
But I knew that's right. When I had pizza crusts leftovers, I knew it was serious. I knew it was serious. But anyway, enough about me. Let's move on. So we talked about defining who we are. How open were we to being able to learn from our parents? What is one thing that you think you learned from your parents, or a couple of things you learned from your parents? We'll start off with you, Steph. What do you think you learned from your mom and your dad, or both?
You know, from my parents, you know, I learned sticking together through good and bad. You know, I'm fortunate. I'm probably the only cast member that, you know, parents have been together, and they've been together for 55 years.
Facts.
And there were some highs, I mean, great highs, but there were many lows.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll never forget 1974. There was a low in the family, and you know, I just knew that they were going to separate or something, but somehow they worked it out. They pushed through, and they made it. So now I've had 2 failed marriages. That's okay, but I learned through my current spouse that, you know, there is love out there, and that I can, you know, I can finally be comfortable in that love that my parents have actually showed each other.
Good. I'm glad, brother. All right, Wayne.
I think if I think about what I've learned, it would be to work hard. You know, I think it was kind of more by example. I don't know, you know, kind of more by example, meaning we didn't have a whole lot, right? And so everybody always wants something, or, you know, me as a child, I always wanted something, and even as I got older, you know, so, you know, I was one of the few people that I knew that when I went to college, like I kind of knew what I wanted to do when I, you know, maybe I didn't really know exactly, but in the abstract, I had an idea what I wanted to do. And that's why I started to focus on business. But it was to work hard, is that it was nothing was given. Like it was, you know, I heard no so much. I just, I got used, you know, I stopped asking because I know we didn't have it, right? We didn't have it. So I think I learned hard work that I, you know, and I think, believe it or not, and this sounds crazy, but I think a lot of stuff, I learned a lot of stuff from family of what not to do.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy as hell, but it's like I had plenty of examples of some bullshit.
What?
And I was like, that's not who I want to be. That's not what I want to do. Like you could see the end, and you're like, I'm not trying to be there. So how, you know, so I think there was this, I learned as many things from saying what I didn't want as I did from that. But I know my family, you know, they love me. They try to give me everything they could, but they just didn't have much. And it was just, they kept pushing me. And I didn't understand it when you're younger, why they're pushing you, but it's because shit is hard out there.
Yeah.
And you got to go get it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's what I would say.
Okay. Charles, give me some of that wisdom, brother.
Well, I was brought up under the principles of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. And although
I wonder where you heard that from.
Well, those obviously are the cardinal principles of my fraternity. My father is a fraternity member. But listen, you have to understand, in my household, those principles were not only reinforced by my father, but by my mother as well. You know, the importance of being a man, honoring your word, you know, scholarship in terms of the importance of education, and continuing to be just not only a learner in the present, but a lifelong learner where you're constantly trying to improve yourself. You know, uplifting the community in terms of not just being a member of any organization, but doing your best to improve the organization that you're a part of, whether that's you know, family, whether that's you know, some of the stuff that we used to do back in the day in the dorms, whether it's being a member of this podcast, you know, trying to be a positive contributor towards those things. So, you know, all those things, man, were just constantly reinforced. And, you know, it may sound a bit corny because they are associated with the principles of my fraternity, but the bottom line is, man, that's something that was just literally reinforced every single day while I was growing up.
Right. That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. I think for me, what I learned was from my mom. I learned something from my pops too, but he wasn't there and they were divorced. But I learned from my mom to make do. You know, she made some of the craziest stuff seem like it was the best stuff. Like at one point when we were exiting abusive relationship, and one day she just up and left and took us with her. We didn't know what was going on. All we know, we was on I-95 and with a full tank of gas, and then once it ran out, that was it. So we had to get to where we made it our destination. It got to the point where we crossed state lines, and after about a mile after state line, we didn't get to where we wanted to go. Car ran out of gas. But we were there to a point where we were able to call my uncle to come get us. But what gets me back to my mother, we just made do with what we had. So those times were tough when she's making pancakes for dinner. You know, you don't have the real milk. We had that carnation. I don't know if y'all ever
Powdered milk.
powdered milk.
Yeah.
But that was some of the best powdered milk she made. And then pancakes was blazing. She made look, these are better than the house of pancake. I said, okay. I said, if you say so. But I ate them. But she made some of the best damn pancakes, second to Stephon. And you know,
That's funny.
that dry milk. She made that dry milk taste so delicious. I think she threw a strawberry in there. I don't think it did too much, but you know, this is mama's milk. You know, this ain't the damn that quick strawberry
Hilarious.
You know, she threw a strawberry in there, but trying to make it look good. Well, anyway, she made do with what we had, and she said that's what you need to do in life: make do with what you have, and then go from there. You know what I mean? Utilize what you have and go from there, or put it this way, build upon it. And that's what happened. You know, she took her experience, she built upon it, and she became successful in her life in regards to getting, you know, great jobs and raising us, you know, to the man I am today. So I think that's what I would have to say. You know, what I learned, you know, from my mother. You know.
Hey, Mike, this is in from Chuck. Of course, unfortunately, he's unable to join us, but he was able to listen. And he said, what I learned from my mother, my hero, was to always put your best foot forward. Sometimes you're not given the opportunity to speak, so your actions may speak for you. To stand out, be so good at what you do that you can't be ignored.
All right, Chuck.
That's good stuff.
That's what I'm talking about, Chuck Nice. That's what I'm talking about. That's real stuff right there, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, Chuck. And for those of you out there who don't know, Chuck is one of our members. He got a little tied up, but he did, you know, able to reach out, you know, from the comment section. So we do appreciate that. Let's see. Being open to learn. I know we talked about all this stuff, but well, I guess we learned from our parents, but how can I say it? Trying to put it in using your parents as a resource. Did anybody ever have to use their parents when they were making that move? Was it okay to use your parents as a resource, or were they open to being a resource to help you succeed?
Hey, I'll chime in first. Yeah, I've had to use my parents, and I've been fortunate enough to use my parents as a resource. And case in point, this house, we needed some support to finally purchase our first home, and my mother and father cut me a check, no questions asked, and you know, as a gift. Now it was painful as hell to go through the mortgage company and explain how I got this gift, and they need this bank receipt and that receipt, and why did they do this and all this good stuff. But that gift allowed us to get over the hump to, you know, purchase this house. And when I paid her back, I paid her 10% of what she gave me, because it meant so much that she gave it. And she's like, you didn't have to do that. I said, no, Mom, you know, what you all did got us over the hump. And this is the least I can do to support you. And I hope to be able to do that for my girls when they're ready to buy a house or whatever they want to do in life in the future.
Ain't nothing wrong with that little generational extension. What about you, Wayne? Chime in on it. Let me know what's going on.
So I think that, you know, the support that I can get, that I've gotten from my mother, I guess, and has been kind of advice more than anything else. You know, there's been a time or two where I've been able to get a couple bucks when I really needed it. There's been some times where, you know, when times wasn't good, right? And $100 or $1,000 meant the world, you know. So that has happened. So I can't act like it hasn't. But I think it's just more advice, guidance kind of thing. You know, I'm kind of I want to say private, but I try to work through shit myself. Right. I try to figure it out. And if I gotta, you know, reach my hands out, you know, that it's hard, but people know that if I do, I'm really in a bad spot. So yeah, that's the best I could do with that answer.
Charlie Rock.
Yeah, I would say very similar to Wayne. You know, I tend to be ultra private when it comes to things and try to be as self-sufficient as possible and work things out. But from time to time, man, I still go to my parents for advice. I mean, they're, in my opinion, very wise people. They're
Yeah.
people that I continue to look up to. They're my heroes. So if I ever need something, some fatherly advice, or even how to deal, with my own children, I know they're there to provide that support. And hell, even, a recent example when I was contemplating what to do with, some of my retirement funds and pension and things of that nature, I relied on my father to help walk me through that process. He and I were on the phone together with a financial advisor that we all have a relationship with on this show.
I hear that story all the time.
Yeah.
How many times he said Charles put me through the filter like 4 or 5 times before he decided to go with me.
That's right. And my
You're supposed to.
father, my father was another set of eyes and ears for me throughout that process. And my mother's the same way. I know that I can count on her as it relates to business guidance, parental guidance, like I said before. So yeah, man, that stuff doesn't stop just because you reach a certain age. There's wisdom in a multitude of counselors, as they say. So I think it's important, man, that we continue to tap into those resources and in return pour into others as well.
Right.
Amen.
And I agree with you, Charles, in regards to that, the parent. And I would say for those of you who parents are still, on this earth, love them up the best you can, because I used to go confide in my mother all the time, and she used to tell me like it is. She would just give it to me raw. If I was wrong, she would say your ass is wrong, and if I was right, she said okay, I agree with you. But her mama, she said no, you wrong, and that would hurt me. You know how you had a little tear, but you don't want her to see it. Like you supposed to be my mother. Why are you going against me? I hope I hindered you, but anyway, she was real straightforward talking. I appreciate her for that, but she'd always give me that sound advice. But as a resource, she taught me independence, and I think I got to the point where I think I was almost too independent, where I needed what did I need? I needed a microwave, and I needed something in that little tight ass apartment I tell you all about. I was laying there looking up at the ceiling with no lights on, with just socks and boxes. And that's another story.
What was you gonna do with a microwave and no electricity?
So listen, I was gonna tie it to my waist and run around the block and hope it was light up. But she asked me, did I need anything? I said, nah, Mom, I'm good. Well, what do you need? You got this? I said, I got it. I got everything. You know what she said? She said, I'll be downstairs. I'll be over there in a minute, be downstairs. So use your flashlight, come on down the stairs so you can see, and you get in the car. You get in the car with your no lights having ass, and we're gonna go to Sears. That's when the Sears was popping. We're gonna go to Sears and get your ass a microwave and some other things, some pan, because you ain't got no damn pan. You're using the toaster as your oven. So we got all that. But she did that out of the kindness of her heart, even though she knew I was being independent and I didn't want her help. She could read me. And that was one thing about my mother. She could read me, and she knew when I was, when I needed help, even though I didn't want to tell her. So as a resource, I use my mother as a resource to, to talk to and for guidance. And I use it as a resource for that. So I think that comes in handy. And,
Chuck,
I think that's what was so important. Yes, Steph?
Yeah, Chuck chimed in one more time. He said, I'm private too. My mother's gone, but I still speak to her and she still guides me.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know we have other family members like that have gone on, and we may not speak to them, but we think about those words of wisdoms that they said to us, and we thought they were crazy back then, but now we're like, daggone, they were spot on.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Sure.
You're right.
Sure.
All right. Well, listen, folks. We want to say we're gonna wrap this up. We want to thank everybody for commenting, coming through. Whether you stopped or whether you just briefly whizzed by, we want to thank you for that. I want to thank the cast members for your input and some of the flashbacks back down memory lane, and some of the things we learned from the mistakes of our youth. And I'll send a shout out to my boy Chuck. Chuck, you always here in spirit, even when you're not here, and that goes for any of our cast members. But I just would like to say thank you to everybody, and make sure you check us out on IG, check us out on Facebook, YouTube. Go to our website, jbandpod.com. Add some residuals so we can upgrade, this podcast. Go up there, buy yourself a shirt. Oh damn! Buy yourself a shirt. One of these delicious shirts here. Just make sure you get the one with the pad if you've been because it can rub against your nipples. And make sure you cut. Y'all see the cup?
Yep.
Yeah,
Got
get
the cup.
Yeah, get a cup. See, get a cup too. And just come through, man. And like I said, comment, give us some recommendations. If you think we need to improve, let us know. We're open to it. But I want to say thank you to everybody and make sure you check us out.
Yeah.
Once again. I'm sorry, brother.
No, I was just saying, yeah.
Make sure you check us out on all the social media outlets. And I just want to say once again, thank you and deuces.